Let me start off by telling a little bit about myself. I'm a single mom of 2 amazing kids. My 7-year-old son has a passion for sports that I don't think most professional athletes even have. In fact, when he first started to learn how to read, some of his sight words were ball, strike, out, Tulowitzki, Encarnacion Batista, you get the idea. And then there's my mini-me, my 5-year-old daughter. And let me tell you, she is a strong-willed, stubborn, independent little girl. I have no idea where she gets that from. She wakes up every day thinking that it's going to be an adventure. We'll go to the grocery store, and she'll put on her best Elsa dress, put at least 5 to 10 bows in her hair, and top it off with a tiara, and walk around like it's nobody's business. I bet you somebody out there are thinking, oh yeah, that reminds me of someone that I know. But isn't it amazing how carefree and confident they are at this age? That's what brings me here today. I too was that carefree, confident girl. I had so many friends growing up. I had amazing parents and a brother who was like my best friends. I got good grades. I played sports, and all through elementary and high school, I was on student council. I dated the most popular boy in high school. On the outside, you would think that I had everything going on, that it was perfect. But in actuality, on the inside, I was screaming. I felt so much pain and so many thoughts going through my head, I didn't know how to keep up with it. I remember some days my heart would just race so fast that I was thinking of having a heart attack. I was scared to talk to anybody. I had no idea what was going on. This started at the beginning around the age of 15. When I was 18, I finally drove myself to the doctors where I was diagnosed with clinical depression. Again, because of the stigma of having a mental illness, I didn't tell anyone. And because I didn't tell anyone, and because I didn't get the treatment that I needed, I was more vulnerable to having postpartum depression, which I did with my second child. And believe me, it was a nightmare. At that same time, I was going through a separation with my husband of 7 years as well. I can remember one week at the end of August, I moved out of my married home with my 10-month-old and my 3-year-old. I was coming off maternity leave after not working for over a year, still dealing with postpartum depression as well. I was starting at a new school in a new position, which I knew nothing about and was highly demanding. They say when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. No. Life was not giving me lemons. It was literally hurling pineapples at me. So when life gives you pineapples, you make pina coladas. Am I right? So if we look at this timeline of events, we were born these healthy, confident little children. Then, of course, as we grow older, we are faced with the inevitable stressors of life. We can't get away from that. But it's about how we deal and cope with the fight or flight response, which will impact our development as we get older. Now, I've been teaching for about 14 years now. I have seen firsthand how girls are faced with the negative effects of social media, pressures of school, making friends, and just trying to fit in. I do not want to be a teenager now. We didn't have cell phones back in the day. We used to write notes to each other, fold them up in a cool little way, and say, hey, I got to talk to you at recess. I couldn't imagine dealing with some of the text and all this Snapchat and everything going around these days. Teachers now are at the front line of the growing expectation that school teachers should not only act as educators by delivering the curriculum, but also be involved as Tier 1 mental health professionals. This means now that we have a responsibility to be able to identify mental distress in children and guide them to appropriate supports. See, when I first started teaching, I would go to workshops on things like math, reading, and now I'm attending workshops on substance abuse, addiction, and suicide prevention. Talk about a shift in job description. In one study done by the Center of Addictions and Mental Health in 2017, it states that for the first time, 50% of female students in grades 7 to 12 in Ontario show signs of moderate to serious psychological distress. Now that was in 2017. I can only imagine the increase of numbers over the past couple years. It was also reported there were elevated stress levels, poor mental health, seeking counseling, thoughts of suicide, and being prescribed medication. Among adults with mental illness, 50% knew something was not right before the age of 14, similar to my situation. Studies have also indicated that the onset of major mental health disorders, such as depression, eating disorders, and substance abuse begin around the age of 14. Now think about this number 14 for a moment. Hold that in your heads because we're going to come back to that because it seems to be a magic number. I attended Brock University, first started taking neuroscience, then shifted my focus to community health promotion. So I've always been interested in the study of the brain. So this is the part where I'm going to attempt to sound super smart, so please bear with me. The teenage brain, let's take a look at it for a moment. That's, yep, I think that's pretty accurate, wouldn't you say? But seriously, the teenage brain is awesome. It's actually at its most healthiest point right now that it'll ever be in. However, there's a 200% increase in morbidity at this time as well, because the brain is not fully developed. The brain reaches full maturations when the teens are about to come to their mid-20s. So right now, they're only thinking probably about half of their brain. If we look at the brain, it develops from the back to the front. The last part to develop is called the prefrontal cortex. This is responsible for controlling emotions, problem solving, and decision making. So if any of you have emotional teenagers at home, it's because they don't have a fully developed prefrontal cortex. Am I right? Right now as well, there's something happening in the brain where all these neural connections are being made at this age. It's taking every single experience around them and constantly firing off. However, at the same time, something called synaptic pruning is happening. So essentially what this does is it cuts off the weaker parts of the brain that are not being used, similar to Darwin's theory of survival of the fittest. Only the strong survive. So what does this mean for us as educators and as adults? Well, what if we can give the kids the proper, supportive adults that they need at this time? Then we can build up these neural connections in the brain, give them the coping strategies that they need, strengthen them before they get pruned away. Building connections equals building resilience. Now, going back to this number of 14 for a moment. So one day I'm cutting my grass because that's when I do my best thinking, and then it hit me. Why are we not intervening in the earlier grades if studies are saying that the major onset of developing mental disorders is around the age of 14? This is where I decided to take action. I did not want to see a girl feel afraid to speak up, alone, and scared. I was that girl. I know what it feels like. So I went to my principal and vice principal with a proposal to begin a girls group at my school. They fully supported me, and the group began to run with about 65 to 70% attendance. We sang songs, we created vision boards, we baked. This was the beginning of an initiative that I had no idea would flourish into something so large. The second year, we focused on team building and inclusion. We tie-dyed t-shirts together. We created a video about finding the inner beauty in everyone. We even biked over to CrossFit Industry and did an incredible workout with Coach Steph. And let me tell you, it was the coolest thing to see some of the shyest, quietest girls dominate a series of challenging exercises and to have their peers and friends cheer them on the whole time. Last year was a bit of a turning point for me. I had about 35 girls join the group, which is about 85 to 90% attendance of grades 7 to 8 girls. We focused on physical fitness and sport to improve mental health. We played parking lot road hockey. We also played volleyball, dodgeball, you name it. We also did Zumba classes, and it really didn't matter the physical abilities of any of the girls. They all attended and participated, and their smiles and giggles weren't contagious. We also did a flash mob at our Christmas assembly, and yes, I did the floss in front of the entire school, and I think it was indeed the highlight of the assembly. I wanted them to know it's okay to be yourself. It's okay to be goofy and silly and not worry about what other people think. We looked at also what we could do, not only in the school, but outside the school in the community. The girls came up with the idea to have a warm winter clothing drive, and we donated bags and bags to Salvation Army. We also hosted a bake sale where we ended up raising $750 for the local women's shelter. When we presented a check to the representative from my friend's house in Collingwood, the tears in the girls' eyes made my heart melt. I wanted them to know that the smallest act of kindness, such as a bake sale, can make such an impact in our community. Our motto is to shine the other girl's crown. Women need other women. When we have that support, we are unstoppable. Now, I had this girl last year who came to the school later. And she wasn't part of my group, and I said, hey, why don't you come out and join us? And she looks at me and she says, Miss Wiz? She's like, but it's a girls group and I'm not a girly girl. That's when I laughed and I said, girl, my mother could not get me in dress when I was little if my life depended on it. I mean, I get my nails done, but on the weekends you can find me playing in the mud in my Jeep. She ended up attending to the group the next day and was out there playing road hockey with everyone. She is now a leader for the grade 7 girls this year, and she tells them that this group makes her feel safe and comfortable and to be who she is. Talk about success. This year, we started to look at what we could do and start early. The girls begged me to start the girls group the second week of school. I was greeted at the library door with smiles and hugs and laughter. Finally, when they all got settled, I paused and I looked at the quiet room and the sea of faces and was overwhelmed. I had 100% attendance from the grade 7 girls. They have seen what we've been doing year after year after year and could not wait to come and join this group. I asked some of the returning grade 8 girls, can you please tell them what this group is about? Because I was too busy holding back my tears. I was not prepared emotionally for the things that came out of their mouths. Words such as, it's a safe place for everyone. We're free to be who we are. There is no judgment. We learn to love ourselves. I continued and drew 2 letters up on the board, a U and a no. So talk amongst yourselves. You guys decide, what can you interpret from this? There was some discussion about one being closed and one being open. There was also discussion that they're both are vowels, very true. But then one girl hit it right on the head. She said, the O is closed with no room to let anybody in, but the U has space for others to join. That's exactly it. We're going to be looking at making a U, not an O this year. We're always told to make that circle of friends. But when we have that circle, we start building circles here, here, here. That's when cliques begin to form, and there's no room for others to join. But if we focus on making a U and building up our community, we can continue to add to these 2 parallel lines of the U, adding more and more supports to our system, not excluding anyone. And if you look at the shape of the U, it's similar to a basket. So if anybody falls, we are there to catch them. I continue by posting up a quote about finding your tribe. I explained to them, there's no sign-up sheet to be here. You don't have to miss your recesses. I don't take attendance. But because they are here and because they have joined this group, they are now part of this tribe. We will do our best to look out for one another and create a sense of community inside our school. Now, I'm not saying there's not going to be any girl drama this year, because let's face it, there's going to be. But if they can feel comfortable coming to a supportive adult, we can be the ones that facilitate and help them work through whatever issues they're having and give them the strategies that they need. Therefore, we can build up those neural connections and coping strategies. At the end of the year, I received a bunch of gifts and cards which were completely unexpected from some of the girls. I always look for signs that I'm on the right path in life and with what I'm doing. And their words were a proven sign that we are in the right direction for what the whole plan is for this tribe. Words such as, you've inspired us girls to be the best people we can be. Thank you for always having your door open. You've inspired me to be who I am and love myself. You help us to be confident and give us the courage to show emotion when the whole school is stressing us out. When I told these girls that I was going to apply to be a speaker for TEDxCollingwood, they were so excited and cheered, and they couldn't wait to go online to help nominate me. Even some of their parents nominated me. I get gifts and cards from parents of these girls, thanking me for being there as a supportive adult in the school for their daughter. They say that they're thankful that I am there for them, that I have my door open and give them the support, but in actuality, I need them more than they need me. They have pushed me to fulfill my dreams and to work harder, to be a better teacher, a better mother, a better mentor. If we start looking at building connections with supportive adults, and that will help build the connections inside the brain and therefore building that resilience that we need. We all need human connection. We all need each other and someone to talk to. Let's focus on shining that other person's crown and making an O, not a U. I have so many hopes and dreams for my wild-hearted little daughter. Let's raise our youth up to be confident, strong leaders. I'd like to close with a nightly mantra that I say to my little girl each and every night. I am strong. I am smart. I am silly. I am brave. I am beautiful. I am unique. I am creative. I am safe. I am loved. Thank you.